So let's say I wanted to edit this image. Underexposed, but what is the problem with birds? Plumage. So you end up with a lot of dark images because look at the histogram. I've got data almost right up to the edge. Because why? Because in here. So that's fine. It's okay. Lightroom doesn't care. Lightroom can deal with that easily. I'm just going to start by opening the shadows all the way. Then I'm going to bring the highlights all the way down. And now let's open this thing up. All better. There he is, or she. I don't know how you sex a spoonbill. Now, one thing, since we were underexposed a bit, which we didn't have a choice because we got to protect the plumage, Lightroom does have something new under detail, denoise. And it's pretty impressive. So we'll do a denoise. It's going to show it. Now, it shows you at a ridiculous magnification. It's actually like 300%. But you can see that there is noise hidden down underneath there. But when you let go, look at Lightroom. Does a beautiful job of it. So you click on denoise, and it's going to make actually another folder. Yes, another image.
Turns it into a DNG when you do that.
Guess what, though? A DNG is still a raw file.
I know.
A DNG is, think of a DNG as a bucket that is holding your image editing information plus your raw file together. Yes, you don't have it. You want to use Lightroom's denoise file function, you're going to get DNGs.
Yeah.
Live with it. Or don't use it. You can use some other, if you use anybody else's, Topaz. Topaz's denoise is good. I use Nick's denoise.
Sometimes I use both.
Yeah.
And Topaz.
I used Nick's denoise. It's called Define.
Is DNG a bad thing?
No, it's not really. Just she had a bad experience with a DNG file, so she was verbally assaulted at a bar by a DNG file. So it created a new image, and it is in that folder. So if we exit out to the Finder, go to Locations. Look, I still left that giant Moab thing open. Come on. Let's close that. Date modified today. Oh, actually, put the copy in a weird place. Is that it? All right. I messed something up. But anyway, they're on that drive. So, but if we look in this zoom, look at how clean that is now. Oh, and the projector looks this looks a little blown out on the projector. That's the projector because look at the numbers under the histogram. You see the histogram up here? Look underneath that. When I put the cursor over top, 97.7, 97.2, 94.1. What that's saying is, yeah, there's plenty of data there. It might look a little, the projector's brighter than my computer. So if I decide, all right, I want to adjust that a bit, I can come back to basic and bring the whites down a smidge. And now when I bring it over there, now it's down. It still looks bright on the projector, but on my screen it looks fine. I can also, while I'm here, let's just go ahead and do this. Also under detail, we have sharpening. You can see it. This is a 100. This little preview window is at 100%. So if I add a whole bunch of sharpening to really bring out the fine detail, what's it going to do? It's going to sharpen, including the sky. In fact, let's look at the sky at 300% and look how noisy and grainy it got. Yeah. Is that a fair way to look at it at 300%? Not really. Would you notice it that much in a print? A very little bit. But here's the way around it. Underneath, you have this masking slider. Unfortunately, you can't really see what it's doing. You can kind of see it, but if you really want to see it, hold down the Alt or Option key. Click on the masking slider and start dragging it over until all the stuff you don't want sharpened turns black. In this case, the sky. So now it will sharpen everything, and look. And if we click on the eyeball here, you'll see the before and after. So it does a nice job. But again, if you really want to see your image looks like, let's see, at 100%, can you see any noise in there now? No. But when we go look at the plumage, look how nice that looks. In fact, I can go full screen. And that's pretty clean, pretty impressive. And they're the cutest birds. I can't help myself. I have to finish the edit on this. Do me a favor, hit the top switch on the light. Got to show you some fun in Lightroom.
All right, so when you save this, then it's supposed to go to where you saved
Push
it.
it hard.
Or the other side. There we go. Okay. One thing that also throws people off in Lightroom, there's no saving.
Okay.
There's no save command in Lightroom. That takes a couple of years to get used to. It just, as soon as you do it, it's saved.
With all the information that you
Yep,
edited and everything.
Yep,
so
yep,
when you
yep.
go back into the folder, it's all there.
yep, yep, yep.
Okay.
On your hard drive,
On-
or I mean, if you lose your catalog,
If you lose your catalog, then you have other, how did you lose your catalog? Didn't your mother tell you to keep track of your things?
Same.
If you lost your catalog, you have a whole, something really bad happened. Because even if you lose your catalog, let's say you threw your catalog away accidentally, or you went to get a cup of coffee and the cat came in and walked across the keyboard, now your catalog's gone. Your images are still in the folder with the XMP files which have the edit data.
okay.
So if you lost your catalog and just re-imported them, all the edits are still there,
Okay, that's what I think.
okay? But there is no saving in Lightroom. All right, it takes a little bit to get over that. So I want to make this a better photograph. How do I do it? When you look at a vertical image, you're forcing the viewer to look at it from the bottom up. Let's make that happen more. We're going to create some motion to this. So you hit the R key, which is crop. If you hover over any of the tools up here, it will give you the keyboard shortcut. For those of you that have been with me before, you've heard me say that Lightroom worked very hard to make sure none of the keyboard shortcuts have anything to do with the tool you're using. Crop is R. Spot removal is Q. Linear gradient is M. They worked very hard at this. So I went to crop tool. I think this would look cool as a more even a more vertical image. Is this contributing to the scene? No. I'm going to crop manually first. I just want to see what I think it's going to need. This, as cool, though it's cool, there's too much of it because it's overpowering the scene. So let's get rid of some of it. We need some because that's what the bird's standing on. Same thing on top here. Somebody's being driven nuts by this tree, that one branch. Who is it? Okay. Somebody's being, all right, this, I would probably, if that was bothering me, I'd probably go to Photoshop for this. Let's see if Lightroom can do it. This is the spot removal tool. There are 3 of them. This is basic spot removal. This is AI erase. That's an AI tool. This is the cloning tool. Lightroom is starting to borrow some stuff from Photoshop. This one just might work. So how do you get it to work? You make it just a little bigger than the thing you want to get rid of. And it's something like this. That's a straight line. So I click once down there. Then I come up to the top, hold down the Shift key, click again, and Lightroom gets rid of it.
How did you adjust the brush size?
How do you adjust the brush size? 2 different ways. Let's do another one again. So right here I have the brush size. If I use my trackpad and I use 2 fingers, it does it. Or I have it over here. Or if you use a mouse and you got a mouse wheel, some mouse wheels will do it. Okay, but that's a pretty cool tool in Lightroom. So there you go. You got a little Lightroom tip out of this. So that's looking pretty good. What else? Shadow on the beak's bothering people. I knew that was going to happen. So let's just go super zoom in to the shadow on the beak. All right. Yeah, this one's a problem. Will that tool work? Let's find out. I'm just going to click and drag around this to see if it can pull this off. I don't know. It's okay. Honestly, I would do this in Photoshop. But let's try the cloning tool. Because I can select in here, I'm going to go real small. I'm just painting around it. And it's going to pick a place to copy from. And it failed. But if I hit the H key, I can then change where it's sampling from. And I want it to sample from up here and hit enter. And it still didn't work. So this is as far, I'm going to actually undo that. It's ugly. Okay, so we have our image. This little shadow on the bill is driving people nuts. I knew it was going to. Send it into Photoshop. Command or Control E, which is the keyboard shortcut. If you go up to Photo, Edit in, there it is. So Command on a Mac, Control on a Windows machine. Just click on that. It will automatically send. If Photoshop's not open, it will open the program, and then it will open the image in Photoshop. There it is. So Command J to create a copy. I didn't think we were going to be doing Photoshop editing today, but that's okay. I'm going to zoom way in. So how do I fix this in Photoshop? The stamp tool in Photoshop will work for this. So it looks the same. It's right there. And I need a smaller, 1,000? Who was using this thing? Shush. Okay. So I'm going to make it a little smaller brush. I need to deal with this line here too. So here's what we do. On the stamp tool, hold down the option to select the line, come down to here, and start painting. And then we'll do the same thing here. Click again. Get rid of that. I'll do the same thing here, right on this outer edge. Get that. Also, remember, we're working at 300%. Yeah.
Content aware also.
I don't know. All right, let's find out. Let's find out if content aware works.
It might not. You gotta-
Function Shift F5, enter. It's okay. The thing is, this is a relatively small edit. I know that when I manually do it, it'll be perfect. Content aware for stuff like that's a crapshoot. But we at least got rid of it. You happy with it? Okay. How do I get it back into Lightroom? I just hit Command S or Control S to save it. I just save it. I just save it from in. This is Photoshop though. This isn't Lightroom. Photoshop you save, because now when I tab back over to Lightroom, yep, because I opened it into Photoshop from Lightroom, so when you save it, Photoshop puts it right back into Lightroom, brings you right back.
With everything changed and everything.
Yep.
Okay, all right.
Okay, look at the bill.
Yeah, oh, that's true.
Let's look at it at 100%. That's pretty darn good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you still have your original raw too? Or
Yes, that's the beauty. Here's the thing. You cannot edit a raw file. You can edit a raw file in Lightroom, but you're not actually doing anything. Lightroom is non-destructive edits. What does that mean? When I make changes with these sliders, let's do something horrific. Imagine the cat did show up and walked all over my image. And it ends up looking like that. I've got sliders all over the place. I didn't do anything to the image. These sliders are being applied over top of the thumbnail in Lightroom. Nothing's happening. I could come back 20 years later and undo this. None of this actually gets built into the file until it is exported in some way. Meaning, I export it as a JPEG to put up on Facebook. I send it into Photoshop. As soon as you send it into Photoshop, it creates a new file. You can't edit the actual raw. When I send it out to a printer, on the way out to the printer, the software builds a new file called the bitmap, same as if it's going into Photoshop. The raw file is inviolate. You cannot edit a raw file. What we're editing is the preview of that raw file. But to do anything with this image, to print it, to send it out anywhere, it has to be converted. And when it does that, it always creates a new file. You always have the original because you can't actually edit it. So if I did something like this, by the way, as a important shortcut, if I want to reset one of these sliders, if I double click on the word, it resets it back to 0. If I want to get this entire panel, this subpanel, see tone is all these things, if I double click on the word tone, it resets all of them. Same thing down here. If I double click on presence, there it is. So there's our image all back again. So what else would I do to this just to finish it off since we're out of time? Effects. Yes, I'm going to do my -12. Actually, I might do a little heavier vignette on this one. Right there. Is the green still too bright?
It's kind of bright.
It's competing. What's cool about this is this image is very three-dimensional. Why? Because the green is almost exactly opposite the color of the bird. It's a magenta. It's even a magenta red. Magenta is the actual opposite of green. When you have that, there's an incredible amount of separation. Creates a lot of dimension. That's a cool thing to have. But the green, because there's more of it, is maybe a little too powerful. So we'll go into the color mixer, choose the point color tool, and come over here and I'll pick that green. And I'm going to dim it a little bit. I'll drag down the luminance a little bit. And I'm judging it by my monitor. And I'll take away a little saturation. To edit it to the screen is brighter. I'll bring it down even more just for your screen. I will do that. And while I'm at it, when I look at it on the screen up here, it's a little bright. That's the projector, not the image. Maybe something like that. Now, if we look, there's our original image. There's the original. So we just took that to there. Which one's more powerful? We got rid of the stuff that didn't need to be there. The vignette. Oh, by the way, can you see the vignette?
No.
Yeah, you can't see it. But if we looked under effects, it's there. But watch what happens when I hide it. It's subliminal, but it keeps the viewer subliminally from leaving the image.